it's a curious reality, isn't it? We spend like years in school getting degrees.
Mhm.
We're told it's the ticket,
All
right?
right. The path to security.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
then that financial stability,
Yeah.
it can still feel, well, frustratingly out of reach sometimes. Like
Mhm.
the map's missing a few key spots.
Exactly. And that desire you have, that need for knowledge that actually connects the dots,
Uh-huh.
knowledge you can grab onto quickly, use without getting totally swamped in jargon. That's exactly what we're dived into for you today.
Perfect.
Absolutely. We're tackling a really big one, a book that gets talked about a lot, Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Mm-hmm.
Think of this as your personal fast-track tour through its main ideas.
Okay.
Our mission here is simple. Dig into this book, pull out every key concept, every principle, every story that shows his financial thinking. We want to give you a really solid, comprehensive grip on Kiyosaki's whole philosophy.
Couldn't have said it better.
Hmm.
And the real hook of the book, it's that central clash, isn't it? The opposing money philosophies of his two dads. One, super educated, right, PhD, the whole traditional route.
Yep, that's Poor Dad.
And the other, rich dad, dropped out in 8th grade, but wow, built serious wealth a completely different way.
Mm-hmm. Their different takes on money, how it works, how you build it. That's the core of the book. Some really provocative stuff in there.
Okay, let's do it. Let's
Oh.
really unpack this. Start from page 1, cover everything.
Sounds good. So the book kicks off highlighting that very gap we were just talking about. Kiyosaki's actual parents, his poor dad, really believed in the standard advice. Do well in school, get a good job, great benefits.
And you're set.
And financial security just sort of
Yeah.
happens. That was the plan for Robert and his sister. He even graduated with honors in accounting, followed the script.
And it wasn't just him. He mentions his co-author, Sharon Lecter's husband, Michael, right? Did the same thing. Top student, engineering, then law.
Exactly. Got a great job, looked like smooth sailing, maybe early retirement even. The picture of like standard professional success. But here's the twist.
Right. This is where things didn't quite follow the expected path. Even with those strong academic backgrounds, the top jobs, their financial lives, didn't automatically become secure. Both Robert and Michael changed jobs a few times, good career moves, seemingly.
Sure.
But those old school pension plans, they just weren't there anymore. Their financial future became way more dependent on their own investing, their own management.
Yeah. And that personal story, it really sets up the whole argument of the book, doesn't it?
It does.
It's not saying school is bad, but maybe it doesn't give you the specific financial smarts you need for the real world.
Precisely. And he drives this home with a conversation he had with one of his kids.
Oh, yeah, that part was interesting.
Yeah, really pivotal. One of his kids comes home from school just feeling disillusioned.
Not just typical teenage stuff, though.
No, not at all. It was sharp. Like
Yeah.
really insightful about how things are changing.
Yeah.
The son starts pointing out all these super wealthy people, Michael Jordan, Madonna, Bill Gates.
None of them exactly got rich by acing their finals.
Right. He even mentioned some baseball pitcher who was like described as mentally challenged but earning huge money.
Exactly. Really questioning that direct link between traditional school smarts and financial success in every field.
And it gets deeper because the son wasn't just name-dropping celebs. He's looking at his own parents who are successful by normal standards and seeing them working incredibly hard but still getting squeezed by taxes, ending up in debt.
Yeah.
He's aware of downsizing, right-sizing. He even knows college grads now might earn less than previous generations. That's
Yes.
pretty heavy stuff for a kid.
It's incredibly perceptive. The kid basically gets that the old guarantees job for life, company pension, even Social Security.
Yeah, maybe not so guaranteed anymore.
Exactly. They aren't the solid pillars they used to be. He sees the need for, like, new answers, financial strategies that go beyond just get a good job.
And that feeling, that questioning from the younger generation, it wasn't just Kiyosaki's kid. Sharon Lecter, the co-author, had a similar moment, right?
Absolutely correct. Her own son ran into some trouble with credit cards.
Been there.
Right. And it made her realize, despite their good education, her kids weren't really prepped for the practical money stuff of being an adult, so she started looking for better resources.
And that search led her to Kiyosaki.
Directly. Her husband, Mike, saw Kiyosaki's educational game, Cash A Flow, thought it had real potential, and set up the meeting.
And boom, the book is born.
Pretty much. It was that mix, wasn't it? Kiyosaki's like street smarts about money and Lecter's accounting and education background. That's what gave it that unique punch.
And it's through that game, Cash Flow, that they really introduced that key concept, the rat race.
Yes. That visual of working your whole life, super hard,
Huh.
but mainly for other people.
Yeah.
Your boss, the government with taxes, the banks with loans, and you never really get ahead, never get truly free financially.
It's that hamster wheel feeling, right?
Right.
Earn, pay bills, earn, pay bills. Repeat. No clear way to build real, lasting wealth that works for you.
And the book is emphatic.
Hmm.
The way out. You got to master two things. Schools often skip over.
Way sure.
Accounting, basically, financial literacy, understanding the numbers, and investing, making your money make more money.
Okay.
Lecter, being a CPA, was apparently really impressed how Kiyosaki made these potentially dry subjects and
Fun.
engaging through the game.
Yeah, not just theory.
Hmm.
Practical stuff you learn by doing.
Exactly, like a game, but with serious lessons embedded.
What really hit Lecter, though, playing that game, was seeing how many smart, educated adults were clueless about basic finance.
Yeah, that was revealing. Bankers, business owners, tech guys. People you'd think would know this stuff. Struggling with basic income statements, balance sheets, and especially understanding cash flow,
Yeah.
where the money actually goes.
Wow, so a big blind spot, even for successful people.
Huge one. And that made her realize, gosh, how many millions of people out there might be struggling financially just because they were never taught these fundamentals.
Yeah.
The game was like this safe space to see those gaps, like a diagnostic tool for financial health.
But not everyone liked seeing those gaps exposed, did they? There's that story about the business owner.
Oh, yeah, the classic reaction. Played the game, got kind of annoyed, and basically said, look, I don't need this. I hire people for that. Accountants, bankers.
Right, outsourcing the thinking.
Exactly. Which Kiyosaki saw as really dangerous. His comeback was blunt. Employees lose, owners and investors win.
Oof, Sark.
Yeah, drawing a clear line. Are you actively in control because you understand this stuff, or are you just handing over control and hoping for the best?
Because just relying on hired experts without understanding it yourself,
Oh.
that's not really a path to security.
Not according to Kiyosaki. It highlights why just telling kids get a good education might not be enough anymore.
It's well-intentioned, for
Mhm.
sure, but maybe misses the practical money skills needed today.
Precisely. And realizing that gap, that's what really sparked the book itself. Kiyosaki told Lecter he had this manuscript, his ideas, his stories, and she saw the value instantly, offered to help shape it, edit it, co-author it, bring her structure and expertise to his less conventional insights.
So it's not meant to be some dry textbook.
Not at all. It's deliberately framed as a story. The story of these two dads, their different lives, different money lessons.
Makes it way more relatable, right? Especially for parents trying to figure out how to teach their own kids about money.
Exactly. And it acknowledges that kids might need different levels of financial info depending on their goals, what parents teach.
Yeah.
But the core message is consistent. Financial skills, communication skills, they're just as vital as school skills for navigating the modern world. It's got to be holistic.
One of the really provocative points early on is about pushing kids only towards being employees.
Yeah, that's a big one. He argues that path can lead to paying way more in taxes over a lifetime, while facing less certainty about things like pensions. He even says taxes are often a family's single biggest expense. Think about that.
Wow. Yeah, you don't usually frame it that way.
And he contrasts that with how the wealthy operate. They teach their kids about money at home, around the dinner table. Lessons schools don't teach.
So that early home education is a key difference maker.
That's his argument and his goal with the book, to show anyone, gardener, janitor, whoever, that getting prosperous is possible through self-education.
Democratizing financial knowledge.
Right. Introducing this idea of financial intelligence, the mental power we all have to solve money problems.
And that self-education piece is huge now, right?
Yeah.
With everything changing so fast globally, technologically.
Absolutely critical. Nobody knows exactly what's next, but understanding cash flow, assets, those fundamentals, they're timeless navigation tools.
And maybe the most empowering bit at the start,
Yeah.
that education, if you really seek it out, is basically free.
Yeah. It's not about fancy seminars necessarily. It's about mindset, curiosity, using readily available info and applying it, taking ownership.
Which brings us right to the two main characters, the heart of it all, Rich Dad and Poor Dad.
The central contrast. Robert introduces them, highlighting their totally different backgrounds. One, highly educated, PhD, scholarships, poor dad.
The academic star.
The other, rich dad, didn't finish 8th grade.
Wow, big difference.
Huge, yet both were successful in their own ways, worked hard. which immediately challenged that idea that fancy degrees are the only path to success.
Right. But the real split was in how they thought about money, their core beliefs.
That was the defining difference, and having those two opposing views presented to him as a kid, Kiyosaki saw that as a huge advantage.
Made him think for himself, maybe. Compare and contrast.
Exactly. He wasn't just fed one way of thinking, he had to choose. And interestingly, both dads struggled financially early on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but how they dealt with those struggles was completely different. Showed their core philosophies even then.
And those philosophies came out in their sayings,
Yeah.
right? Like catchphrases.
Totally. Poor dad. The love of money is the root of all evil. Very common idea.
They've all heard that one.
But rich dad's flip side. Lack of money is the root of all evil.
Whoa. Polar opposites.
Fundamentally different ways of seeing money's role in life.
So poor dad focused on good grades leading to a good job. The traditional path.
Absolutely. Study hard, get that secure job. That was the key for him. Rich dad. He stressed understanding how money actually works in the real world, way beyond textbooks.
Which highlights that critique of the school system. Again, great at job skills, maybe not so great at money skills.
That's the argument. Why you see smart doctors, lawyers, whatever, still struggling financially. Kiyosaki even suggests maybe national debt connects to politicians making huge money decisions without deep financial training themselves. Bold claim.
Yeah, it is. Rich Dad, though, he was all about training the mind about money.
He really was. He hated hearing, "I can't afford it." Saw it as mental laziness.
Shutting down the problem solving.
Exactly. He pushed for, "How can I afford it?" That little shift. It's the start of financial intelligence, he thought.
Well, poor dad kind of checked out on money stuff. Relied on government benefits, entitlement.
Yeah, there was a sense of, I worked hard, I'm owed this. Rich dad was all about total self-reliance, financial competence, taking responsibility.
Different approaches to saving and investing, too, right?
Completely. Poor dad focused on saving pennies, felt like a sacrifice. Rich dad, his whole mindset was about creating investments that make money for him. Proactive growth.
And that showed up in how they advised young Robert. Poor dad taught resume writing for a job.
Standard advice. Rich dad taught business plans, how to create investments, build something yourself, entrepreneurial focus.
What about risk? They must have differed there, too.
Oh, big time. Poor dad was cautious. Play it safe, don't take risks. Always saw the downside.
Understandable, maybe.
Sure, but rich dad, even when he hit bumps himself, encouraged learning to manage risk, not avoid it. He had that famous line.
Broke is temporary, poor is eternal.
That's the one. Shows a totally different resilience, a mindset about setbacks.
Even their casual comments showed the difference. Poor dad. I'm not interested in money. Money doesn't matter.
Yeah, downplaying it. Rich dad. Clear as day. Money is power. No ambiguity there.
And Kiyosaki realized his Donald. Poor dad's struggles weren't just about income, but his thoughts about money. His actions.
Profound insight for a kid. The power of your mindset. Made him super careful about whose advice, whose thoughts he let in.
So both valued education, just disagreed on what education was important.
Precisely. Working for money versus having money work for you. That was the fundamental split.
And it even affected talking about money at home.
Definitely. Poor dad kind of shut down money talk, got defensive, matey, don't ask, that's private.
Awkward.
Rich dad encouraged it, saw it as part of the learning process, open, honest conversations about business, finance,
Yeah.
crucial education.
Okay, that sets the stage. So how did the actual lessons start? With toothpaste tubes.
Yeah, one of the first ventures, him and his friend Mike, 9 years old, wanting pocket money.
So what was the plan?
They went door to door collecting used toothpaste tubes, told neighbors it was a business secret.
Intrigue.
They piled them up, planning to melt the lead. Apparently tubes had lead back then, and cast their own nickels.
Wait, make their own money. Seriously.
That was the brilliant 9-year-old plan. Their warehouse was a box by the washing machine, until Mom said, no, find another spot.
You can't blame her.
Right. So that pushed them. Mike started telling neighbors to brush more, use up that toothpaste faster. They set up their little production line.
Ready to turn trash into treasure.
They thought so. But then Kiyosaki's dad drives up with a friend, sees the whole operation,
Oh boy.
and gently explains the concept of counterfeiting.
Whoops. Illegal.
Yeah, Mike was gutted. You mean this is illegal? Dad's friend joked they were natural entrepreneurs, but Dad was firm. Yes, illegal.
But he didn't crush their spirits.
No, crucially, he praised their creativity, their initiative. Said, you actually did something. Most people just talk. That was huge.
So even though the nickel business failed.
The lesson was priceless. You're only poor if you give up. Keep trying, don't quit. Instilled that perseverance early on.
Got it. So what happened next? Did they ask Rich Dad for advice then?
Pretty much. Mike went to his dad, Rich Dad, and asked straight up, "Can you teach us how to get rich?"
Bold move for a kid.
And Rich Dad agreed. But the first lesson, probably not what they expected.
Let me guess. No secret formula handed over.
Huh. Not even close. He offered them a job working at one of his convenience stores
Okay.
for 10 cents an hour on Saturday mornings when they usually played baseball.
10 cents. Ouch. That sounds like torture for a 9-year-old.
Kiyosaki says it felt like it. He was frustrated, felt exploited, even thought about reporting Rich Dad for child labor laws.
Shows that poor dad thinking kicking in already. Fairness, wages.
Exactly. But Rich Dad had a totally different game plan. He wasn't after cheap labor.
He was teaching something.
He was creating an experience. He told them life teaches you by pushing you around their frustration. That's how employees feel working for wages.
Whoa. Experiential learning.
Totally. Life is the teacher through these pushes. It was a new idea for Kiyosaki, different from his dad's book learning. Real-world lessons hit differently.
So at 9, he's getting totally different advice. Poor dad. Study hard, get a safe job, benefits.
The standard path. Rich Dad. I'll teach you how to have money work for you, but only if you really want to learn.
Why the condition?
Rich Dad felt most people find it easier to just learn to work for money because, well, money itself is surrounded by fear, anxiety.
Avoidance.
Yeah, it stops people looking for other ways. The job route feels safer, more normal, even if it limits you.
So that low-wage job, the point wasn't the money, it was the lesson.
Exactly. While their friends played ball, they were getting a taste of reality their classmates wouldn't. What it feels like to trade time for money.
And see a chunk of it go elsewhere. Employer, government.
Right. Taxes. That was a huge eye-opener. Rich Dad broke it down. Taxed when you earn, when you spend, when you save, even when you die.
Poor dad complained about taxes but just accepted it.
Pretty much. Seemed like an unavoidable burden. But Rich Dad dropped a bombshell.
Which was?
He claimed the rich don't let the government take as much. Said he probably earned more than poor dad, but paid less tax.
How's that possible? That must have blown Kiyosaki's mind.
Totally sparked that lifelong question about how the system really works, who it benefits.
So the key isn't just working, is understanding how money works.
That was Rich Dad's mantra. Most people just lack the passion, the drive to really dig into it. Then he bought them ice cream, asked what they'd learned.
And they said.
Honestly, nothing much. They felt they'd worked hard but hadn't learned anything profound yet. Shows learning isn't always instant.
Right. Then Rich Dad upped the ante, offered them more money.
Big time. He offered them $2 an hour. Remember, this is 1956.
Wow. That's huge money for a kid back then.
Astronomical.
Yeah.
Kiyosaki said his brain basically exploded. Started dreaming of candy, baseball gloves. Total desire took over.
And Rich Dad used that moment.
Perfectly.
Yeah.
To show how emotions desire, greed can hijack your thinking when money's involved. You react, you don't think long term.
You just want the immediate reward.
Exactly. He explained how fear of not having enough drives people to grab a job, hoping the paycheck calms the fear, but it's temporary.
The underlying anxiety is still there.
It usually is. So you work harder, chasing more money, but the root problem isn't solved.
And he said rich people feel fear too. Fear of losing it all.
Yeah, that was insightful. It's not just a poor middle class thing. Fear can drive the wealthy to hoard endlessly, still never feeling secure.
What about people who say they don't care about money?
Rich Dad found that interesting. If they don't care, why work 8 hours a day for it? He saw it as denial, almost more psychotic, he said, than hoarding.
Wow. Strong word.
The core point. Fear is often doing the thinking when money's involved. Instead of finding long-term solutions, we grab short-term fixes.
Like a job.
Right. Rich Dad saw a job as often being a short-term fix for that long-term problem of financial insecurity. Poor Dad's safe job advice. Good for many, maybe, but rooted in that same fear.
And schools. They train good employees, fill essential roles.
Which is vital. But for many, school is the end of financial learning, not the beginning.
He called that lesson cruel. The low-wage thing.
A little cruel, yeah, but purposeful. Like the tar baby story. Something appealing that traps you.
A paycheck being the tar baby.
Could be. Luring you in without you seeing the long-term trap of just working, paying bills, never asking, is there another way?
Because fear and ignorance keep you on that hamster wheel.
Exactly. He contrasted that emotional thinking, everyone has to work, rich or crooks, I deserve a raise, with clear analytical thinking, wait, am I missing something here?
And the rich make money, not just work for it. Like their illegal nickel plan was closer to that idea.
Conceptually, yeah. Creating value, not just trading time. Learning to have money work for you opens up opportunities others miss because they're solely focused on the paycheck and security.
Okay, so what happened after the nickel business? They started something else.
They did. The partnership revived, this time, a comic book library.
Okay, less illegal.
Much less. They gathered old comics, cleaned out a room in Mike's basement, and charged other kids a small fee to come read them.
Brilliant. Did they hire anyone?
Yep, Mike's younger sister. Apparently she was studious, organized. She became the librarian.
Their first employee.
Gave them early lessons in management, finding good help. Not easy, even then.
So, did the comic library last?
Unfortunately, no. Bullies from another neighborhood started causing trouble, scared off the customers, had to shut it down.
Oh, man. Another setback.
Yeah, but Rich Dad saw it as just another chance to teach new lessons, always learning.
This whole journey leads to that point about money without financial intelligence, right?
Yeah.
How easily it disappears.
Crucial point. He mentions famous people, powerful people who made fortunes and lost it all.
Lottery winners, athletes, we hear those stories all the time.
Because it's not just about making money, it's about how much you keep, how you manage it, how you make it grow. That's the key difference.
Which brings us back to Rich Dad's core message.
If you want to be rich, you need to be financially literate. Master it. Don't just read about it like Poor Dad might suggest. Master it.
He uses that building analogy, right? Empire State Building needs a deep foundation.
Versus a house on a thin slab. Schools, he argues, often give you that thin slab financially. Leads to shaky finances, the leaning tower of suburbia.
And accounting, which seems boring to many.
Is crucial, part of that foundation. The trick, Rich Dad knew, was making it simple, understandable, especially for kids, not intimidating.
Which sets up that really simple, powerful definition.
Exactly, leading right into lesson 1. The rich don't work for money, a real mindset shifter.
Okay, break that down, the core idea.
Simple. Poor and middle class, they work for money, trade their time, their effort directly for pay. The rich, they set things up so their money works for them, generating income passively through assets, active versus passive income.
What keeps people stuck in the working for money loop?
2 big emotions. Fear of not having enough, and desire wanting stuff, a better lifestyle.
The carrot and the stick.
Precisely. He uses that donkey analogy. Life dangles the carrot, the paycheck, the promotion. But behind you is the stick fear of bills, losing your job.
And most people are just running between the two.
Often without even realizing it. Constantly chasing, but never really getting free.
So the first step out is awareness. Recognizing those emotions.
Yes. Telling yourself the truth about your fears, your desires, and then trying to think clearly, rationally about money, not just reacting emotionally.
Okay, that awareness leads to lesson 2. Why teach financial literacy? Why is it so vital?
Because money flows, right? It comes, it goes. To build real wealth, you need to know how to make it, yes, but also how to keep it, manage it, and crucially, make it multiply.
It's not just about earning a high income.
Not at all. He uses the tree analogy, money without financial intelligence, like a tree with weak roots. The branches, your money will eventually fall off when things get tough.
You need that strong foundation. Financial literacy is the roots.
Exactly. And he breaks down financial IQ into key parts. Remember those.
Yeah. Accounting, reading the numbers. Investing, making money with money. Understanding market supply and demand.
And
the law, tax stuff.
You got it. 4 key areas. But accounting, that basic financial literacy, reading the statements, that's the absolute bedrock.
Because that's how you know if something is truly an asset or a liability.
Bingo. And that brings us to Rich Dad's super simple but revolutionary definition, you recall.
Assets put money in your pocket. Liabilities take money out.
Couldn't be simpler, right?
Right.
But so powerful and so often misunderstood.
How so? People think liabilities are assets.
All the time. The house, the fancy car, the boat. People buy them, often with debt, thinking they're building assets.
But they cost money every month. Mortgage, insurance, gas, repairs, Money out.
Precisely. From a pure cash flow perspective, which is Rich Dad's focus, they function as liabilities. They drain your resources.
Why is that simple distinction missed so often?
Emotion, maybe? Status? We get attached to things. Focus on ownership pride, not the actual cash flow impact.
So you need to read the numbers, not just trust your feelings about an item.
Exactly, like reading words. You need financial numeracy to understand the story the numbers tell. Is it bringing cash in or sucking cash out?
Asset, money in, liability, money out. He shows diagrams for this, right?
Yeah, simple visuals. Income, expenses, assets, liabilities. Shows how they all connect, how decisions affect cash flow, and your overall financial picture.
And he maps out that typical journey for a young couple. Starts with saving for the dream house.
Yep. Income goes up, great. But then expenses go up too. Bigger house means bigger mortgage, property taxes.
New cars, furniture, credit card debt to fill the house.
Right. Suddenly their liability column is huge. They're making more money but feel more trapped than ever. That's the rat race in action.
Even with a good income.
Because more income alone doesn't fix it if the underlying problem is spending habits and not knowing assets from liabilities. Financial illiteracy trumps income.
And he kind of blames traditional thinking, even from teachers, for reinforcing this.
He does suggest that. Schools train good employees, not necessarily good employers or investors. Creativity around money isn't always encouraged.
He felt that disconnect himself, right? As he learned from Rich Dad, he felt further from his teachers, even his parents sometimes.
Yeah, by 16, he felt he understood money better than his highly educated dad. Because Rich Dad's lessons were practical, focused on wealth building.
Okay, let's talk about the house specifically. Big debate there. He argues it's often not an asset.
From a cash flow standpoint, often not your primary residence anyway. Most people spend decades paying off mortgages.
And even when it's paid off, you still have property taxes, insurance, upkeep, constant money out.
Exactly. Plus, it often becomes a way to take on more debt through home equity loans.
So his point is, focus on buying things that generate income first, before buying the big house.
That was Rich Dad's strategy. Build the asset column, let that pay for the liabilities like a nicer house. Flip the usual script.
So it's about the cash flow reality, not just the label house.
Precisely. Does it put money in your pocket consistently or take it out? Your personal feeling about it doesn't change the numbers.
He also mentions sophisticated investors getting the best deals first.
Briefly, yeah. Suggesting that higher financial literacy opens doors to opportunities the average person doesn't even see?
So Rich Dad's approach, buy income-producing assets first. Let them pay for the big house later.
That's the core strategy. He contrasts Poor Dad's financial statement, income equals expenses, liabilities dwarf assets, stuck in the race with Rich Dad's.
Rich Dad's being income, expenses, assets, liabilities, constantly investing, minimizing liabilities.
Right, which creates that cycle. Assets generate income, that income buys more assets, which generate more income. The rich get richer.
While the middle class, income goes up, but expenses rise just as fast. Liabilities grow, big mortgage, car loans. But the asset column doesn't keep pace. The house is the main asset.
And that reliance on the house, plus spending increases with raises, leads to that debt cycle, makes the middle class financially fragile, job loss hits hard.
Plus, pensions disappearing, Social Security uncertainty adds to the pressure.
Definitely. Which leads people to things like mutual funds. Seems like a safe, diversified option when you're busy, lacked time to learn investing deeply.
You trust the fund manager, spread the risk.
But Kiyosaki argues that diversified dogma often just leads to average results. And because people are overworked, overtaxed, in debt, they miss the real opportunities, the deals of a lifetime, because they lack the financial IQ or the spare cash to jump in.
So the absolute key takeaway from lesson 2.
Know the difference between an asset and a liability. And buy assets, period.
Keep liabilities and expenses down, free up cash for the asset column.
Exactly. And as that asset column grows, then you can maybe look at higher risk, higher return stuff that seems too risky to others. The risk is often just lack of knowledge.
He had that stark summary of the average person's financial reality.
Yeah. Income, work for your boss. Expense, work for the government. Taxes, asset, often empty. Liability, work for the bank. Debt.
Ouch. So you're working for your boss, the government, and the bank before you work for yourself.
That's the picture he paints. And just working harder just means those three take a bigger slice.
So you have to learn how to make money work for you.
It's the only way out of that equation, which leads to Buckminster Fuller's definition of wealth.
Oh yeah, the how long could you survive if you stopped working today?
Exactly. Measured in time, not just dollars. A much better gauge of true financial independence than net worth, which can be misleading.
Kiyosaki's own goal was cash flow from assets covering expenses, being wealthy in time before being rich in dollars.
Yes. Financial independence first. Then, the next step, reinvest the extra cash flow from assets back into.
More assets. Keep the snowball rolling.
You got it. Which brings us neatly to lesson 3. Mind your own business.
Okay, and this isn't about ignoring colleagues at the water cooler.
Oh, no, definitely not. It's about shifting your primary financial focus.
He uses the Ray Kroc McDonald's story, right?
Classic example. Kroc telling MBA students his business wasn't hamburgers.
It was real estate. The land under the golden arches.
Exactly. McDonald's became this massive real estate owner. The real long-term asset wasn't the franchise itself, but the dirt it sat on.
And his friend Keith Cunningham said the same about his car washes. The real business was the land.
Same principle. Understanding the underlying asset value beyond the surface operation.
So the core distinction here is my job versus my business.
Precisely. Your profession is how you earn active income now. Your business should be your asset column, what you invest in, what grows wealth passively.
But most people focus on the income statement, right? Getting a raise, promotion.
Yeah, all about increasing that active income. The rich, he argues, focus relentlessly on building the asset column. Different game entirely.
That's why you hear, I need a raise, not I need to buy another rental property.
Generally, yes. And he also knocks net worth again here. Says it's often inaccurate because of taxes when you sell.
Right, capital gains tax.
And personal stuff often sells for less than you think when you need cash fast. Your net worth might be worth less when you actually need the money.
So the advice is keep your day job for cash flow.
Absolutely. Don't quit your job tomorrow necessarily.
But start minding your own business, meaning start buying real assets, things that put money in your pocket.
Not liabilities like fancy cars or personal stuff that just loses value.
What are examples of real assets again?
Businesses you own but don't have to run day to day. Stocks, bonds, mutual funds, though he has caveats. Income-producing real estate, notes, loans you own, royalties from patents or books, things that generate cash flow.
He talks about his own path, working big corporate jobs, but always building his own stuff on the side.
Yeah, Standard Oil, Xerox. But simultaneously starting companies, investing in small stocks with an exit plan, doing real estate deals, trading up, using tax strategies.
Always minding his own business, even as an employee.
Exactly. Using his job to learn, pay bills, but focusing his wealth-building energy on his asset column. Financial literacy was key to analyzing those deals.
He cautions against starting a company, unless you really want to, though. High failure rate.
Yeah, be realistic. If entrepreneurship isn't your deep passion, maybe focus first on building that asset column through investing while keeping your job.
And the golden rule. Once a dollar goes into the asset column.
Never take it out. Let it work. Let it compound. Let it hire more dollar employees for you.
It all comes back to that core idea. Working for money versus money working for you. Minding your own business is making that shift happen.
Perfectly summarized. And that understanding leads directly into lesson 4. The history of taxes and the power of corporations.
Okay, taxes. Everyone's favorite topic, but crucial, right?
Absolutely crucial. Because understanding this is key to understanding how the wealthy often structure things differently.
It gives that history lesson. Taxes originally aimed at the rich, Robin Hood style.
Yeah, in England initially. But governments always need more money.
So the tax burden trickled down to the middle class eventually.
That's the narrative he presents. Created a new reality for wage earners. But the rich didn't just accept the new rules. They used corporations.
They already were. Corporations weren't new. They were used way back for risky sailing voyages to limit liability. If the ship sank, you didn't lose your house.
Ah, okay. So it's a legal structure to separate personal assets from business risk.
Exactly. A corporation is like a separate legal person. And crucially, in many cases, corporate tax rates can be lower than individual income tax rates.
And the big advantage, running expenses through the core before taxes.
Huge advantage. Legitimate business expenses, travel, meals, supplies, whatever's needed paid with pre-tax dollars. Reduces the income that gets taxed.
So the argument is the people who get squeezed most by taxes are the ones who don't understand this, the uninformed.
Yeah. People who work hard, pay their taxes dutifully, but don't know the strategies the rich use legally to minimize their tax burden.
He cringes when parents only advise kids to get safe jobs without teaching financial aptitude. because it leaves them exposed.
Exactly. Leaves them vulnerable to taxes with no escape plan. He throws out that stat. Average American works 5-6 months just to pay taxes.
That's staggering.
And fear of the IRS makes people overpay or miss deductions they're entitled to.
So Rich Dad's approach wasn't tax evasion, but tax avoidance. Legally minimizing.
Be smart. Know the law. Use good accountants and lawyers. It's cheaper in the long run than overpaying taxes out of ignorance or fear.
It comes back to power again. Working for money gives power to the boss. Money working for you lets you keep the power.
And financial smarts stop you being bullied by the tax system, which will always take more if you let it.
So Poor Dad said, climb the corporate ladder. Rich Dad said, own the ladder. Own the corporation.
That's the core difference. Kiyosaki decided early on, like 15 or 16, he wasn't going the employee route long term.
And seeing those deductions from a Xerox paycheck solidified that.
Like time. Made Rich Dad's advice, mind your own business, build assets crystal clear. He formed his first corporation while still at Xerox.
To house his investments, start leveraging those benefits.
Right, because financial IQ needs all those pieces. Accounting, investing, markets, and law taxes.
So the benefits of owning a corporation, even a small one, around your assets.
Two main ones he highlights. Expense benefits using pre-tax dollars for legit business costs, maybe even things like vacations structured as board meetings, car use, etc.
Got to be careful there, but potentially powerful.
And protection from lawsuits. Using core and trusts to shield personal assets. The wealthy often control assets through entities, not own them directly.
And the cash flow difference is stark.
Yeah. Rich with core. Earn spend. Pre-tax business expenses. Pay tax on what's left. Employees. Earn pay tax on gross pres after tax.
Big difference in when the tax bite happens.
Huge. So the strong recommendation, consider owning a corporation as part of your overall financial strategy. It's a key tool.
Okay, which leads to lesson 5. The rich invent money. This sounds intriguing. Not just managing money, but inventing it.
Yeah, it's about shifting from just playing by the rules to actually creating opportunities. Financial intelligence isn't just managing what you have, it's creatively solving problems, seeing value where others don't.
And overcoming fear again. Seeing opportunity instead of just risk.
Crucial. Fear blinds you. He tells that story of the laid-off Xerox guy, terrified of losing his house. Fear totally controlling him.
Yeah, heartbreaking.
And Kiyosaki saw it teaching too. So much potential in people, held back by self-doubt, fear of failure.
Financial intelligence helps you see and act on opportunities others miss.
That's the idea. We all have that brave, daring side and that fearful side. Too much fear paralyzes you.
So you choose.
Yeah.
Play it safe forever, or build your financial IQ to have more options.
Exactly. Especially now with change happening so fast. More opportunities than ever, like the next Bell or Gates are out there.
But the danger is clinging to old ideas, right?
Yeah.
Resisting change.
That's when people get hurt, lose jobs, houses, then blame the economy, technology, instead of their own outdated thinking.
He uses the cash flow game again here to teach seeing opportunities.
Yeah, understanding the income statement balance sheet connection helps you see how to increase cash flow from assets, get out of the rat race in the game.
And that woman who got angry about her game boat being a liability shows lack of awareness.
Perfect example. The game gives instant feedback, forces you to think differently, create new options. People who get cash flow win the game fastest.
So financial literacy lets you see opportunities and create solutions. Invent money, in a sense.
Right. It's not always about finding existing deals. Sometimes it's about structuring something new. He talks about that talented writer.
Oh yeah, brilliant writer. Couldn't sell her books.
Illustrates that talent alone isn't enough. You need business skills too.
He says we're often one skill away from great wealth. Financial intelligence is that mix. Accounting, investing, marketing, law.
While most people only know one skill, working hard for money.
So the writer needed sales and marketing skills.
That was his assessment. To become a best-selling author, not just a good one, it takes more than just writing ability.
Kiyosaki himself was willing to be controversial with his book title, right?
Sweet.
To get attention, using marketing.
Absolutely. Even if people thought he was a fruitcake, it got noticed.
Yeah.
He also talks about his career path. Quitting a good oil job.
To join the Marines, to learn leadership.
Yeah, Rich Dad told him managing people is the hardest skill. Marines taught leadership under pressure.
Then quit the Marines to go to Xerox. Why?
To learn sales. He was shy, wanted to overcome that fear of rejection. Poor Dad hated sales, but Rich Dad knew how vital it was.
So he wasn't chasing paychecks, he was chasing skills.
Exactly. He mentions that saying job is just over broke. How many people just barely get by, never building wealth?
That cynical management theory, too. Workers do just enough not to get fired. Owners pay just enough so they don't quit.
Grim, but maybe some truth there sometimes. His advice to young people: seek work for what you'll learn, not just what you'll earn. Get skills.
Avoid that hamster wheel of just paying bills forever.
Right, like that Jerry Maguire scene, everyone's scared to leave the familiar, even if it's bad. Fear of losing short-term security.
Makes you ask, where's all the hard work actually leading people? Especially with pensions. Social Security looking shaky.
Yeah, potential healthcare rationing based on wealth. Scary thoughts about the future if you're not financially independent.
So for adults wanting more income, his advice isn't just work more hours.
Often it's get a second job to learn a second skill. Like network marketing, not necessarily to get rich from it, but to learn sales. Education over money, long term.
What about people saying, too much hassle, not interested?
He pushes back. What's the long-term cost of not learning, of staying stuck? Hard to teach old dogs new tricks, maybe, but worth trying if you're on the fence.
Unless you insist on specializing, then maybe join a union for protection.
That's the caveat, he adds. He tells that story of the artist who lost his inheritance on bad advertising. Talent wasn't enough, needed business skills.
And people often blame externals, the economy, the boss, instead of their own lack of financial skills.
Common trap. Even Poor Dad kept pushing specialization. Didn't see how it trapped him.
Better to know a little about a lot, how businesses run, than be hyper-specialized.
That's his view. Especially now, the old loyalty to one company is gone. Smart to move around, gain diverse skills. Focus on learning.
The key management skills again. Cash flow, systems, people.
And the key specialized skills. Sales and marketing. Communication, negotiation, overcoming fear of rejection.
Poor Dad got more specialized, but more trapped. His options narrowed.
Vulnerable if your niche disappears. Sales and marketing, though, often undervalued, but crucial. Needed to be best-selling anything.
Even tech geniuses struggle if they can't communicate or sell their ideas.
Absolutely. Technical skill isn't enough on its own. It's a package deal.
Which leads right into lesson 6. Work to learn, don't work for money. Reinforcing that skills point.
Exactly. Prioritize jobs for the learning, the skill development, especially long-term, over just the immediate paycheck.
Acquire those core skills. Managing cash flow, systems, people.
And the essential technical skills.
Yeah.
Sales and marketing.
Like his choices. Marines for leadership, Xerox for sales. Deliberate skill acquisition.
Even if the pay wasn't the best initially, the long-term payoff from the skills dwarfs the short-term salary, investing in yourself.
Okay, makes sense. Then lesson 7, overcoming obstacles. Because even if you know this stuff, roadblocks appear, right?
Always. Knowing isn't always doing. He lists 5 main reasons why financially literate people still fail to build assets.
Okay, what I fear.
Fear of losing money. Huge one. Everyone hates losing. Even the rich lose sometimes. But Rich Dad said playing it too safe is the biggest reason people fail financially. Risk avoidance is the biggest risk.
Like Chicken Little in investing, always seeing the sky falling.
Exactly. Stops people analyzing risk-reward rationally. Fear takes over. He uses the Alamo analogy.
A defeat, but inspired future wins. Winners learn from failure.
Right, like falling off a bike or losing a golf game. It fuels improvement. Winners are inspired by losing. Losers are defeated by it. That's a massive difference.
Rockefeller, turn every disaster into an opportunity. Be flexible, adaptable.
Yeah, don't be the Maginot Line, rigid and easily outflanked. Focus your investments where you have knowledge. Don't over-diversify into ignorance. Unless you absolutely hate losing, then start early and play it super safe.
So the first question is, how do you react to failure? Does it motivate you or crush you? Tells you if you're ready for risk.
Good self-assessment. Okay, second obstacle. Cynicism.
Doubt, negativity. Keeps people poor.
Holds them back. The world has opportunities. It's our own doubts that stop us. Rich Dad said, cynics never win. Doubt creates cynics. Cynics criticize. Winners analyze.
Criticism blinds you. Analysis opens your eyes.
Perfect. Like the real estate example. Cynic says, I don't want to fix toilets. Misses the opportunity.
But Rich Dad saw I don't wants as clues. Not wanting to fix toilets means.
Find someone who will. Hire a property manager. Solves the problem, lets you scale up, turns the obstacle into a stepping stone.
Same with stocks. Don't want to lose money. Stops people analyzing, learning about risk management like stop losses.
Exactly. Cynicism prevents learning. He tells that story of his friend worried about oil prices.
Chicken Little again. While Kiyosaki had already invested based on analysis, not fear.
Right. Okay, third obstacle. Laziness. But a specific kind.
Laziness by being.
Busy.
Yeah. Busy avoiding the important stuff. Doing trivial things to avoid tackling wealth building, or even health stuff that feels hard. Procrastination via busyness.
What's the cure?
A little greed, healthy greed, desire for better things, overcome guilt about wanting more. Rich Dad didn't just give his son a car, he made him figure out how to earn it.
Because we're conditioned not to be greedy. Can't have that.
Often, yeah, creates guilt. Shifting from I can't afford it to how can I afford it uses that desire constructively. It fuels problem solving.
Fourth obstacle. Bad habits. Our lives reflect our habits more than our education.
Powerful idea. Like Arnold physique, result of consistent habits, not just wishing. Same with finance.
And the key financial habit contrast, paying yourself last versus
Paying yourself first, save, invest before bills. Rich Dad did this even if money was tight.
why? Seems risky. Motivation. The pressure from creditors meeting their money is stronger than willpower. Paying yourself first forces you to find ways to cover the rest, plus compounding benefits.
Creates positive pressure. Okay, fifth obstacle, arrogance.
Comes from fear of looking stupid, being wrong. Stops you learning. I already know that.
Dangerous in finance.
Very. Need humility. Know what you don't know. Seek education. He criticizes arrogant salespeople in finance who pitch stuff they don't truly understand.
If you're ignorant on a topic, admit it. Find experts, read books, don't fake it.
Exactly. Okay, so those are the obstacles. Now, how to actually get started. Lesson 8. 10 steps to awaken your financial genius.
Acknowledging it's not easy, but deals are out there if you look.
Right. Believing everyone has that genius, just maybe dormant due to cultural messages about money being bad, relying on others.
So these 10 steps are Kiyosaki's personal roadmap.
What he says he followed. Let's run through them. 1. Need a reason greater than reality. The power of spirit.
Having strong wants and don't wants. Emotional fuel. Like the Olympic swimmers drive.
Exactly. What do you desperately want? Freedom, travel, control. What do you desperately not want? Being stuck, working forever. That's your why.
2. Make daily power of choice. Choose education over entertainment.
Consciously. Invest time in learning books, seminars, rather than passive consumption. Learn from the best. Ask, how would Buffett do this? Be humble, listen more than talk. Long-term view.
3. Choose friends carefully. Power of association. Learn from everyone, but seek out financially smarter people.
Not for their money, for their knowledge. Wealthy people often talk about money, deals, ideas, great learning. Avoid complainers, negative Nellies. Listen to experts, but don't get spooked by chicken littles. Hang with people excited about investing.
4. Master a formula, then learn a new one. Continuous learning.
Crucial in a changing world. Master one strategy, like his foreclosures, then adapt. Learn the next one when markets shift. Always be searching for faster, better formulas. Rapid learning is priceless.
Apply yourself. Self-discipline. Invest before expenses.
Non-negotiable habit. Forces you to manage cash flow better. Goes against societal pressure to pay bills first. Not irresponsible, just a strategic priority.
6. Pay your brokers well. Good advisors are worth it.
Good ones save time, make you money. They're your eyes and ears. Wasting your own time to save a small commission might be penny-wise, pound-foolish.
7. Be an Indian giver. Get your initial investment back quickly.
Yeah, reduce risk. Invest. It goes up, pull your seed money out. Now you have house money playing. Own the asset for free.
8. Use assets to buy luxuries. Don't use earned income or debt for wants.
Let the income from your assets pay for the fancy car or vacation. Differentiates true wealth building from just spending. Like Rich Dad making his son earn the car money through investing.
9. The need for heroes. Power of myth. Emulate successful people.
Power learning. Model their thinking, strategies. Having heroes inspires you, gives you a template.
10. Teach and you shall receive. Power of giving. Be charitable. Share knowledge.
Both. Rich Dad believed in tithing, giving first. Poor people often more greedy, he felt. Plus, teaching reinforces your own learning. Give genuinely. Both his dads were teachers. Made them smarter.
Okay, those are the 10 steps. Then some quick action points.
Yeah, practical takeaways. Stop doing what's not working. Look for new ideas. Find someone who's done it. Ask them how. Buy them lunch. Take classes. Buy tapes courses. Make lots of offers. Real estate, etc. Don't fear rejection. Use escape clauses. Walk the neighborhood. Spot local changes, opportunities. Follow Peter Lynch's ideas for stocks finding value is similar across assets. Understand why consumers lose, buy high, sell low. Look in the right places for closure departments. Think big, buy the whole pie, sell slices, learn from history.
Wow, that's a lot of actionable stuff.
It is. The book wraps up reinforcing the goal. Use financial intelligence to solve problems differently than just work hard, save, borrow, pay taxes.
And that final example, the classmate turning $7 into $400K for retirement college.
Shows it's possible, using real estate, tax strategies, financial intelligence, not just needing a huge pile of cash to start.
Because it takes money to make money is limited thinking.
That's his point. Money is an idea. Every self-made person started small with an idea and determination. Change your thinking first.
Think and grow rich, not work hard and grow rich.
Exactly. The call to action. Learn to make money work for you. Play smart. Use your mind, your time. Then some quick bios of Kiyosaki and Lecter, their backgrounds.
Right. So bringing this really comprehensive deep dive on Rich Dad, Poor Dad home, the core message, it's crystal clear, isn't it?
Absolutely. And financial literacy, shifting your mindset from working for money to having money work for you. These aren't just nice ideas, they're essential for building wealth, getting free.
We've hit all the keys. Assets versus liabilities based on cash flow, minding your own business, the asset column, the power of corporations and understanding taxes, overcoming those internal roadblocks like fear and cynicism.
It's a whole framework. And for you, listening in, wanting that actionable knowledge without feeling totally overwhelmed, we really hope exploring Kiyosaki's ideas, his stories, in this much detail has given you some solid takeaways, maybe a new lens to look at your own finances.
Definitely food for thought. Which leads to our final provocative question for you.
Okay, let's hear it.
Now that you've journeyed through these ideas with us, this whole rich dad, poor dad contrast, what's maybe one old idea about money you might be ready to question or even let go of?
Good question.
And conversely, what's one new idea from this deep dive that really clicks with you, that resonates with your own goal of building a stronger financial future? Something to really mull over as you continue your own learning journey.
Thank you for joining us at Wisdom House, where we bring you timeless insights from the greatest books. If you found this deep dive valuable, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Wisdom House. Stay curious, stay inspired, and we'll see you in the next video.